Okay. It's very different. So, just was talking to Gary, so you might be watching this at some point. He was asking basically how to scale his business, right? And basically, more, I guess, more importantly, how to start bringing people in to start taking some of the workload off of himself, so that way he can continue to grow the business. Because, like, you can only changing the whole concept of like these videos and everything else to more of like what would I do instead of like what you should do, right? Because at the end of the day, I may do nothing. Um, so what I would personally do first is we need to look at what jobs that we're taking on that are one, the most profitable, and two, take the least amount of time, right? Because like I was explaining to him, like I could do like there's opportunities that come up all the time, but when I look at them, they're really not that profitable compared to fencing, which makes no sense sometimes, right? Because with the with the fencing, it's only like $8,000 and $10,000 jobs, and like we're not even hitting 50% gross profit because of the amount of the competition. We're already thousands more than these other company, and yet we're still only hitting like 40% gross profit, 38, 40%, right? So we can't even get to the 50%. I know people will say it's bullshit that you can't get to 50. I'm telling you, you can't get to 50 if I'm like already charging 10, the other people are 8. It's just not happening for this kind of stuff, right? But anyway, going back to it, like you need to figure out what is most profitable and what takes the least amount of time, because you can't, one, you don't want to scale your business if you're constantly, like, as he does home remodeling. So, like, he does kitchens and bathrooms and like whatever else. Well, if one type of job produces far more profit and takes you the least amount of time, like why would you try to scale the rest of that business? It makes only sense to figure out like what is the most profitable, what you can make the most per day per crew. That's one thing that people don't look at all. And then after that, looking at which ones take the least amount of your time, right? So then it's looking at the gross profit, you're looking at the profit per day per crew, and then you're looking at what your hourly rate is for those typical jobs. Even though you are not installing, there's still a lot of stuff that's going on, right? So you might have to like go out for the estimates, answer the phone calls, the emails, deal with permits. Like there's a bunch of shit. So start looking at those three numbers, right? And then once you find out those three numbers, then you can look at each area. So for him, it's like, regular bathroom remodels, then these high end bathroom remodels, like these really involved bathroom remodels, right? And then same thing for kitchen remodels and maybe for decks and, stuff like that. So then once you have a handle on that, then you can start looking at, well, maybe I don't even need to scale my business. Maybe I just need to cut out these types of jobs. You might see if you do like 6 different types of things that there are 2 that are super, super profitable. And then there's 4 other ones they make far less money on. And then on top of that, you're spending far more time on, right? So you may not have to scale your business. You may just have to start eliminating the types of jobs you do. So that would be step number 1 if I was doing it, right? Because the other way to look at it is like the things that are really heavily involved in, that you have to be heavily involved in. Do you think it's going to be easy to have someone else do that for you? Or do you think it's going to be easier? Like, just say you do, like, if you were choosing the option between scaling, like, just say you do fencing and then you do bathrooms, right? Or pools, like, because that was something we were looking at, right? So, fencing and pools, right? Fencing, we're in there a day, 2 days max. Just say we're making $2,000 per day per crew, even though it's only 40% gross profit. Whereas with the pools, maybe I can make, $30,000 gross profit, but I'm there like 10 days, right? So maybe it's $3,000. So I might be making the same amount per day per crew, but the scheduling, pulling all the subs, because like you have the electrician, you have the concrete people, you have the plumbing, like you have all the shit, right? Or with fencing, you literally just do everything online, and then you're like, okay, your price is going to be this. You go out there to confirm it, and then the crew installs it. Like, what's going to be easier, right? So then you go with the easier one, that like the scale, and then maybe for the once you do that, maybe then you start getting them more involved with the other things. But in the beginning, you can't throw a bunch of shit at them. Like, you have to make it nice and easy. So anyway, I hope that's helpful. I know it's rambling because it's not really any thought process when I go to start, like hit the record button. It's like, okay, this is what we're going to talk about, and this is like literally it's just me brain dumping everything that I have onto this video. So, and again, like I'll look at this maybe in a year from now, maybe that's not the right decision, but I do think the more and more I think about it, it's like why there's another quote from Alex Hormozy, or maybe it was from someone else, but he said it that I heard it from, is basically simple scales, fancy fails. So, again, like if you're doing all these different types of jobs but you're finding a few that are really easy to do, maybe even for remodels and stuff like that, you do packages, right? So maybe you get away from the super, super custom. It's like, here's what the bathroom, remodel package is. Here's the floors. Here's like you do this, this, and this, right? Like for the floors, here's your three options. For the cabinets, here's your three options. And it's good, better, best, right? For everything, good, better, best. For the walls, like what do you want them to be? Blah blah blah. And maybe like that's all you do. And then for kitchen remodels, the same thing. Well, here's the granite countertops. Here's the quartz. Here's the cabinets. Here's the flooring. And like that's all you do. And then maybe if they say, well, because this came up with another contractor, that they could handle that with almost no problem. But their problem was like when they started wanting to like move walls and the plumbing had to really be changed and everything else, like it just didn't suit their needs at that point in time, which is fine. In the beginning, like when you're first starting your business, you have to have that motto of like, if they have the money, I'm going to do the job, right? That's what I did when I first started. It didn't matter what they did. Like the amount of shit that I did back then, I'm like just shaking my head. The biggest one was where we had, they wanted us to paint the fence. I talked about this before, but they wanted us to paint the fence and everything else. And I'm like, yeah, I just got picked up this warehouse. Sure, I'll paint your fence. I've never painted a fence. How hard could it be? Well, it's friggin' board on board, and on top of that was Pulco board on board, so it was like an inch and a half spacing between. So getting all the crevices, it was a huge fucking nightmare. So in the beginning, you have to take on everything, but as you get bigger and bigger, and as you have enough leads coming in, you're going to start realizing that you need we turn away more work than we like accept at this point, right? And that's probably what you need to do. It's like, and you might feel bad. It might be previous customers and stuff like that. And maybe for them, you do make some kind of exception. But for the most part, it's like you have to go from, again, in the beginning, like, okay, you have the money. I'm going to do the work for you to if you want what we offer and you have the money and you're not a pain in the ass, then we'll do the job. Like, that's what you kind of got to get to, right? Because like, it can't be like, you can't follow the customer's process. You have your own process and you have to stick to that process. And the customer, if they're not willing to stick with that process, then they shouldn't be your customer. And that's even from the get-go. Like we see it time and time again with even stuff as simple as fencing. Like some of these people are a pain in the ass, right? And 9 times out of 10 it happens for a few reasons. One is we have a very distinctive process. We give them a price over the phone, and then we charge them $75 to go out. And that's what we do. There's people that try to circumvent that process. Whenever we circumvent that process, they're a pain in the ass. Whenever they ask for a discount, and we give them any kind of discount, like fine, fuck it, $100, they're a pain in the ass, right? So whatever your price is, leave it as your price. Whatever your process is, that's your process. It's you. The example that we give all the time is like, you're not going to go through Burger King and ask for a Big Mac and then get pissed off that they don't have a Big Mac. Why? They don't make Big Macs. Like it's literally that simple. We don't, and that's how we had to keep on drilling into our salespeople and the people in the office. Is like, you wouldn't do that. Would you expect to go to Chick-fil-A and get a Big Mac? No. Why? Because they don't make Big Macs, right? And it's the same for us. We don't do it. And why? And people may get pissed off, but at the end of the day, like the number one job as the owner and the employees is to keep the company safe. It's all it is. Like, if there's no company, like think of how many people you employ between your employees, yourself, your spouse, your kids, whatever, your subcontractors, whatever you have going on. Like, if you jeopardize your business, like, how are you going to have a company? And if you don't have a company, how are you going to afford your bills, your employees' bills, all this kind of stuff? So anyway, I got to go get some dinner. Hopefully this is helpful to someone. I wasn't posting as much, and I'm like, I should post more, and then talking to, it's like it's super helpful. So I hope this shit's helpful. I don't know. But again, I'm going to just post more. But again, it's getting away from like, this is what you should do to this is what I would personally do. I'm not claiming I know everything, but like I've done this shit for a few years now. And we're doing pretty well. I was telling him the profitability isn't as high as I wanted to be this year, but then again, my goal was to double our business this year. So to take it from basically like 2 million to 4 million. So that might be a reason why we didn't hit as high as we want, but we're still profitability wise, it's a big improvement so far. Like 20% in profitability, not in sales profitability. So it's not bad. But anyway, hope you guys have an awesome day and talk to you soon.